Well, this is the all-new Ford Endeavour. It's actually not all new. It's got some minor updates. It's got a new grille, a new bumper with fresher fog lamps, and a new set of alloy wheels on the outside. And of course, this new shade of silver or beige or gold, but it looks nice. And as you know, this is one of my favorite cars. It's one of the best SUVs out there. In fact, it is the best large-size SUV out there. I would recommend it over some German luxury cars, but you already know that I really do like this car a lot. So don't say that Ford has given me money or paid me something to praise this car, because it is a fantastic car. Let's see what the big changes are on the back of this car, because the biggest change is on the boot. What is it? Let's go and find out. But before starting this review, let me just request you to follow me on Instagram. My handle is Ashish Masih 1. You can also follow the team at Autoportal_India and help us become more influential. Well, so the single biggest change now on the outside, of course, is the fact that you can open this boot by simply swaying your legs over here below the bumper. And that's a new feature that Ford has added to the car. The earlier car did not have this feature. Now, this is something which you'll truly appreciate when you go to pick up someone from the airport, and in case they've got some nice gifts for you, you don't want to place those gifts on the ground below and ask the people, to wait, because you can easily open it. It's also a powered tailgate, which means that you can simply press this button, and this also adds to a sense of luxury on the already luxurious Endeavour. In terms of the boot space, it's not the biggest boot. It is decent with all seats up, but of course, if you drop the back seat down, it does improve quite dramatically. So what I'm essentially trying to say is that if you have people from the airport, you'll definitely need an Innova behind you to carry their luggage, because if you have 7 seats up, then luggage space is at a premium. Well, so the first thing that you'll notice as soon as you step inside is the fact that the new 8-inch infotainment system is now Ford Sync 3 enabled, which means that it gets Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. The earlier car did not have these two features. Apart from that, it's pretty much the same affair. Of course, there's a slight change in the shade of the top of the dashboard. The dark brown shade is gone and has been replaced with a different shade. You also get a different beige over here, slightly different. It's not a big change. And in terms of quality, it definitely seems to have gone up. You get nice leather here, as well as very nice stitching, which gives it a very classy and posh feel. The top of the door pad also is made from very fantastic materials, and the places in terms of utility are also very good. You get a big tray here where you can keep your cell phone, your wallet, and a very big box right over here, which isn't cooled, but it is a very big box, so you can keep a lot of stuff in it. And the door bins also are large enough to house the big 1 liter bottles. A couple of beverage holders here as well can be placed. Now, in terms of overall features, it's a very rich car in terms of the features list. You get this huge sunroof. It's a panoramic sunroof which really covers 50% of the roof of the car. You also get traction control. You get Ford's terrain management system. You also get multiple airbags, as well as a host of other features which really are very long, so you can check them out by going to our website. Now, one thing which really stands out in this car are these seats. These seats are really high set, which means that you really feel like you're in command on the road. You feel like the boss on the road, and it's now an electrically 8-way adjustable seat. The earlier car didn't have so many adjustments, so it's easy to find your own comfortable position. The steering wheel also adjusts, but it only adjusts for rake and not for reach, but that's quite okay because the seats have that 8-way adjustment. And of course, because you sit up so high, you really do feel like the boss, and you can easily look down on fellow motorists, especially those puny hatchbacks which always keep troubling you. You can easily boss around them by honking loudly inside the Endeavour. Now let's check if the back seat is as impressive as the ones on the front. Well, so if you are someone who prefers to be backseat driven rather than sitting in the front seats, then these seats are pretty good for you. Now, the front seat, as always, has been adjusted for my height, and my height, for reference, is 5 feet 10. Now, in terms of headroom, it is a decent car. If you're about 6 or even 6'1" or 6'2", you should be quite okay in these seats. Headroom also is more than adequate. Best part is that you can easily recline or incline these seats depending on who's sitting at the back, and also you can move it front or slide all the way back. So these seats are separate, and this one is separate, so these two can be slided up and down, and this one is separately. So it adds to the utility as well as practicality of the cabin. And the seats themselves are pretty good in terms of comfort. The cushioning is pretty good, and you get a very good knee and hip angle as well. So you're not sitting sunken down in the seats, you're sitting right on top of them, and you feel like the boss. It's also a pretty wide car, which means you can generally house 3 at the back, and you get AC vents which are roof mounted, not over here, so they actually chill your face and not your knees. Well, so the Ford Endeavour still comes with the same set of engines. You still get the same 2.2 as well as the same 3.2 TDCi diesel. And these engines were already great in terms of refinement, but Ford has improved it further with some new technology, some new noise cancellation, noise isolation technology that they've used. So isolation inside the cabin from noises is very good. It's a very, very nice and quiet place to sit in. And this quietness really adds to the sense of luxury inside this car. Now, this car was already pretty good and pretty refined, but the new versions of this car are even better. And this is something that you'll appreciate more when you're out on the highway, because when you're really cruising on the highway doing speeds in excess of 100 kph, the engine is at a relatively low 2000 or 2100 rpm, making the cabin a nice and quiet place to be in. Now, the big change on the 2.2 is the fact that you get a manual gearbox on the car now, and Ford of course has done this because customers wanted a manual gearbox, and it also helps Ford reduce the overall entry price tag of the Endeavour. So the new 2.2 also gets a manual gearbox. Of course, we're driving the 3.2 automatic today, and this engine makes 200 bhp of power. It is a very good engine for torque delivery as well, because it makes 470 Nm of torque, which really is phenomenal. And of course, it gets a 6-speed automatic, which helps the engine become even more flexible than it is. Now, when you're out on the highway, this car really feels rock solid. It feels very, very stable, and it feels a lot more stable than my ex-girlfriend ever did. So it is a great car for those long distance journeys. But even when you're driving this car in the city, the suspension really does soak in the bumps. Those big and chunky tires with their wide footprint really help this Endeavour absorb all the bumps and potholes out there. So it is a great car for ride comfort as well. Now, of course, SUVs aren't really meant to be driven hard or pushed into corners, but even then, if you are someone who says that he's buying his car for sheer driving thrills, then you will truly enjoy the experience behind the wheel in this Endeavour, because the steering wheel really is very engaging to drive. It's very crisp, it's very communicative, and I say it in relative terms. Don't think of this as a sports car, but yes, even then, despite its weight, its girth, as well as its overall size and footprint, it is a pretty agile car. It's a pretty agile SUV, and it's a car that is definitely ahead of its main rivals, the Toyota Fortuner, especially in terms of overall driving dynamics. Now, in terms of the gear shift quality, it is a nice and seamless shift in automatic mode, but of course you can also use the manual settings over here, and even in the manual setting, it is a quick responding gearbox. Ford, though, hasn't given paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, which is something that they should have added and could have added on this updated and refreshed version. So that's something that they have missed, but even then, it is still a very engaging and keen driver's car. Now, of course, if you push it into corners, there is definitely a lot of body roll because it is a tall SUV. But that said, the grip level from the tires is excellent. You never think that you want more grip, and you will never feel like the brakes are a little down, because the brakes really are very good. And if you hit the brake pedal hard, this car really does drop the anchor down, and it really does stop very quickly and very immediately. So that's something which is very confidence inspiring. You also, of course, get Ford's terrain management system here. And even though 99% of SUV owners never really take their cars off-roading, it's always good to know that the Endeavour is capable of really doing some dramatic off-roading stuff if ever you get stuck in that kind of situation. So this car really is capable. You of course get sand mode as well as this ice mode and a whole host of other modes that you can choose from. You also get snow and mud mode, and of course you get this low range for the 4x4 system. So it is a great car for off-roading capabilities, and it is a very capable car in those conditions. We'll play some footage for you to believe us, because I'm not going to take this car out and dirty it, because we still have to shoot it. But yes, as I just said, in case you ever get stuck in an off-road condition or in bad conditions, this car will definitely take you out of it without any issues. Now, even though it is a big and heavy SUV, you never really feel that it's tiresome to drive, because all the controls are really light. The steering wheel especially is light, and you get excellent visibility all across. You get excellent visibility from the very big side view mirror. The view from this mirror also is very good, because the window at the back is nice and large, and you get these huge windows all across. So the cabin definitely feels very nice and airy and bright. That is something that buyers who drive a lot in the city will appreciate. And of course, you get these highly perched up seats, which give you a good view of the road ahead. Well, so the changes on this car might not be that huge, but they make an already strong product even better and even more desirable. And I think that the Endeavour has a very strong case for itself against some entry-level German luxury SUVs. If you're in the market with this kind of budget, then definitely check this car out. It's capable, it's comfortable, and as just said, it is hugely desirable. Out of 100, I'd give it a very strong score of 91. It's bye for now and hope to see you soon.